6:36, Low Country students head back to class August 15th, and tax-free weekend is approaching just in time. It starts tomorrow in South Carolina.
So you were just now listening to the Chatham Emergency Management Agency and Chatham County and Savannah city leaders looking back over what's happened and acknowledging now the severe damage here.
It's 5:52, and it's time now to put on our dancing shoes.
Well, I have my dancing heels on.
You do, actually. You could probably bust a move better than I could this morning. The Stars are back, and they're kicking up their heels on Dancing with the Stars.
Well, we right now want to show you some video. This video is actually from Tybee Island. This is the first video we are seeing from Tybee this morning.
On Thursday, it's August 4th. I'm Chris Tatum. Nicole has the morning off. We're going to get to all those news headlines into news headlines. Let's be real clear what I meant to say.
Right now, we're about 8 hours away from the polls opening for Election Day.
What the presidential candidates are doing in these last hours before those polls open, plus issues we're following in local races. WJCL 22 News at 11 starts right now.
Thanks so much for joining us tonight. I'm Shannon Royster.
And I'm Chris Tatum, and it's hard to believe in less than 12 hours polls actually open. And from the presidential race to state and local races, candidates are scrambling to get that last-minute message out before you cast your ballot.
That's right. WJCL's Steve King joins us now from a polling location with more on how the parties are preparing. Steve.
Well, now for the race everybody's talking about, of course, the presidential race. The latest polls actually do give Democrat Hillary Clinton a slight edge over Republican Donald Trump in these final hours.
The two campaigns making a mad dash for the finish line, crossing the country in one final push to get voters to the polls tomorrow. ABC's Lauren Lister has more from Capitol Hill.
Well, while you were sleeping, protests in more than a dozen cities across the nation.
All of them against the election of Donald Trump. Now this morning, we're sharing videos from across the country.
Plus, a teenager recovering this morning after a shooting in a high school parking lot. I'm Ariana Poindexter, and I'll have all those details just ahead.
Well, good morning at 6 o'clock on your Thursday, November 10th. I'm Nicole Baker.
And I'm Chris Tatum. We've got a lot of news to get to this morning, but before we do, we need to check in with Jonathan and talk about weather.
And I have it. It's
Wore a
chilly.
jacket in this morning.
Absolutely. Chilly start this morning. We're in the mid 40s, even some spots lower 40s as we start the day. And it will be somewhat of a coolish afternoon. We'll be a little below our seasonal average.
Right now it's 6:02, and overnight in Commitment 2016 news, protests erupt in more than a dozen cities across the U.S., all of them protesting the election of Donald Trump. Large crowds rallied in New York City, Chicago, Dallas, even Seattle. And in downtown Los Angeles, thousands of people went on to the 101 freeway, blocking traffic in both directions for several hours. Police arrested more than a dozen of those demonstrators.
And here's some video of peaceful protests in Savannah after that historic election. It was shot by Sarah Tollerson. It shows locals marching down Broughton Street. They had some signs. One read "Revolution," the other "Love Trump's Hate." And here's more video for you. This is from Peyton Ashley from River Street. Both of those groups there were peaceful, but Chris, they did have some strong messages.
Yeah, a lot of that across the country this morning. Well, many of those protests across the country could happen again tonight.
ABC's Diane Macedo has more.
Thank you, Ariana. 6:06 and happening today. Several gang members are in jail this morning in connection with a Savannah murder case. And at 9 o'clock this morning, Metro Police plan to release more details about which case and how those gang members are involved. So far, police have not released the names of those arrested, but say state and federal investigators helped them crack this case.
6:06 now, and across South Carolina, we are learning more about the property where a woman was found chained in a storage container.
Deputies have been combing that area, and they have found several bodies. WJCL's Amanda Foster is live now for our Low Country Bureau. Amanda, what's the latest?
Jury selection in the Charleston church shooter case has been pushed back again. Court documents say it'll start back up November 21st. Now that's because 22-year-old Dylan Roof needs to undergo a competency evaluation. He's accused of shooting and killing 9 people at the Emmanuel AME Church last year, and he faces 33 federal charges. If he's convicted, he could be sentenced to death. Michael Slager's trial continues today in Charleston as well. He's charged with the murder after shooting and killing Walter Scott last year. Wednesday, the jury learned that an autopsy found cocaine in Scott's body. Attorneys argued over testimony from toxicologists who reviewed Scott's blood in the lab test there. Slager faces 30 years to life if convicted.
Well, in other court news in Georgia, it's the third day for jury deliberations in the hot car death trial. Jurors have yet to reach a verdict. Now, reports say they did ask to re-watch videos of police interrogating Justin Ross Harris. His son, you'll recall, was left in his SUV in Atlanta 2 years ago. Harris says he simply forgot to take his son to daycare that morning, but prosecutors claim he left his son in that hot car to die on purpose. Time right now, 6:09. We are continuing our special series this morning on dangerous apps.
That's right. Today's segment examines an app that could attract some unwanted guests right to your front door.
Well, a burglar is on the loose this morning, and the man whose home police say he broke into is recovering from a gunshot wound. But police say that homeowner actually shot himself in the foot trying to shoot that burglar. It happened yesterday afternoon on Point South Drive. Police say the ordeal forced school leaders to lock down 4 nearby schools. Now, police describe that burglar as a blonde-haired white man with a 5 o'clock shadow. They say he had on a blue shirt and dark jeans at the time of that burglary. Anyone, of course, with information should call Crime Stoppers. And we have new developments this morning regarding what was a double shooting. Now one of those victims, Jonathan Lang, is dead, and police are searching for a killer. Police say someone shot Lang and Tanya Murchison Tuesday on West 40th Street. They believe a fight might have led to those shootings, but they don't yet know if Lang and Murchison were the intended victims. By the way, police do expect Murchison to recover from her injuries. Well, the controversy surrounding Savannah Alderman Tony Thomas just keeps growing. Now, yesterday, an ethics committee cleared Thomas at a specially called meeting, but the battle between Thomas and some people he represents is far from over. WJCL's Carly McGuire has more. Thank you, Carly. Now, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation is now looking into claims against Thomas involving possible drug use and sexual misconduct. Thomas denies all these claims and says he's not worried about that GBI investigation. Well, people who live near Whitfield Avenue and Isle of Hope will soon have their own police station. City leaders just broke ground on a new police precinct that'll be located near Truman Parkway. They hope to have it up and running next year. The city closed the precinct that used to service that area back in 2008. Now, city leaders say the new station will look exactly like the one on Johnny Mercer Boulevard. Across South Carolina this morning, state lawmakers may be close to approving a plan to fund much-needed road repairs across the state. The proposal would raise $400 million a year for road repairs without raising the state's gas tax. The Senate will review that bill today and plans to vote on it next week. But that gas tax issue just keeps cropping up, and experts warn it's not a done deal. South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley is not holding back on the issue either. Yesterday, she accused Senate leaders of putting power ahead of people. Some senators want to repair roads with money from South Carolina's $1.3 billion surplus. Well, Governor Nikki Haley is also launching what she calls a statewide evaluation of local taxes and regulations. Yesterday, she issued an executive order to create a committee to handle that evaluation. Now, that committee will review each county's public infrastructure, tax setup, and the quality of each county's workforce. She says it's all about helping counties attract and grow business. And South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham is stepping up his campaign to stop Donald Trump, and he hopes other Republicans will join him. He's especially concerned after Trump's big wins on Super Tuesday. He wants to help other GOP candidates gain ground in the race for the White House and defeat Trump. Graham, himself a former presidential contender, has long been critical of Trump. That's the Supreme Court hearing what could be a landmark abortion case. Outside, protesters gathered to oppose that case before the court. It all centers on a Texas bill that would require abortion clinics to meet hospital standards. Bill supporters say it'll make abortion safer, but opponents argue some clinics won't be able to meet those new requirements. They say that will make it harder for some women to get abortions. It is now 4:39 on your Thursday morning. Some big changes ahead for Beaufort County schools. We have the latest on the plans for the new May River High campus. And we're calling all students. The city of Savannah preparing with schools to give seniors hands-on work experience this summer. We've got the details.